Yeah, dude, what a word. That's good. I love that. I love that a lot. All right, so I want to make sure that I honor our time and that I'm sure have big other important stuff to do today. So thinking of upcoming filmmakers, upcoming storytellers, stuff like that, specifically who want to honor their faith, honor God, but maybe are feeling a confusing, we'll call it a confusing tug. They're feeling this tug to tell more raw, more real, maybe a little bit more edgy stories about either faith or just like life and the world and stuff like that. What are some things you think we can borrow from how stories are being made today, either from Hollywood or the Christian sphere, that you think are good techniques or habits and that we should continue? And then what do you think are some things we could challenge in Hollywood and the Christian sphere of visual storytelling that would help build up our creative excellence?
Man, that's a tough one. So I'll deal with the first part of the question. What can we borrow from, I guess, Hollywood per se? I would probably say the time it takes to tell a good story. Now, in today's day and age, the time has kind of shortened because there's so many different resources and things that people have access to that people didn't have in the past. But telling a good story is hard, man. It takes a lot. If telling a good story was easy, there'd be more good stories out there. But if you notice, there's just rerun after rerun after remake over and over again because Hollywood, even though it has millions of dollars and they're paying people to come up with great stories, it's hard to do. It's hard to tell a story that resonates with today's audience, that holds their attention, that has a great message behind it, that has great authentic dialogue. And so maybe one thing I would share is like, hey, there's some filmmakers who are spending 9 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years just to write the script of their film. And so understand, to do this well, it takes time. It takes multiple rounds of revision. Take advantage of potential resources within your environment. If there's like a meetup group for writers that you can go to get the perspective of other people, make one with your friends. Create a writer's room where you can read the script together and see what's working and what's not working. You can go online and find professional actors who you can hire and let's say, hey, can you come in and do a table read for us? I want to hear the dialogue coming out of your mouth to see if it even sounds authentic. Getting the perspective of filmmakers in your area and say, what do you think of this film? And so there's so much that comes to putting a really great film together, not just from the story, but you talk about development, pre-production, all the things that come together. Just to give you an idea of my documentary, Let the Church Say, we started development in March of 2020. We didn't start filming. Our first film shoot was August of 2020. And then we took like a month break. We filmed again in September. And then we did something in October and something in November. And then it was editing for like 18 months. You know what I mean? And so it takes a long time to tell a good story. So if there's one thing I would say Christians can borrow from Hollywood is take your time. If you're going to make a message that's going to resonate with the world, if you're going to make a film that you're going to pour time and money and energy into it, make it count. Make it count. Make something beautiful. Make something different that no one has said before or seen before. And make sure that you're creating something that's going to glorify God, not just in the message, but also in the method. Two, man, what was the second part of the question?
That is my bad. I have a bad habit. I'll ask like 30 questions and I'm like, and go. So if the one side, like you said, is like, take your time, making excellent things take a lot of time. Like, what's something maybe on the other end that you're thinking we should maybe do less of this, either specifically from what we see in church / Christian films or from Hollywood films?
In Christian films, I would probably say like less of giving the message so early on in the film. There's a habit that I've seen in Christian films is that like anytime there's a scene that happens at church and there's a pastor preaching, whatever the pastor says is the whole theme of the film. like low key, like you could stop watching right there. You got the whole essence of the story. I actually did a paper in college on like how Hollywood films treat church scenes, and it's like comedies versus dramas. And you notice like in comedies, a lot of times it's like ridiculing the church, kind of like creating this like idea that pastors are all about money and this, that, and the third. But the dramas, there's so much like subtext within those scenes. Like whatever the pastor is saying, it's like it's still speaking on what's happening in the film, but in like a totally unique way that sometimes it's not until you finish the film that you realize what the pastor was actually saying. Like, yeah, I would definitely say stop like just thinking on the surface and start thinking deeper, having more layered messages. Because I think there can be this fear of like, well, if I don't give them the message, then they won't get it. Just respect the intelligence of your audience. They've seen a lot of movies before. They'll get it.
Yeah, well, even to that, like, I think that's so funny because the fear of like they're not going to get it is literally what happens in the Bible, right? Like that's what plays out. Jesus tells the parable of the sower to all the disciples and they come around. They're like, all right, dude, so can you like explain that? I didn't really get all the details. And he's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so I think that's a great piece of advice is to like not be so worried about the interpretation and stuff like that.
But I love that you pointed that out because it makes me think of another aspect of God's character. Think about all the symbolism that's in the Bible. God is not afraid of saying they're not going to get it. Like Revelation alone is like incredibly so much symbols within that. And it takes time and effort to unpack that. It takes time and effort to unpack the Trinity, to understand these different aspects of Scripture. But God made it that way because those who want it will find it. And so don't be afraid of people not getting the message. I think just understand that there's going to be individuals that are hungry for what you have to say, and they'll find it.
Yeah, dude, I am loving this time. Yeah, man, thank you so much for your time and just looking at, you know, our clock. I want to make sure I keep us on schedule. So to close out one more time, Rafiq, just so that everyone who maybe has been listening to these little tidbits and maybe is catching this last video, where can they find your stuff and what are some of the cool things that you're working on?
Yeah. So like before, you guys can find me on YouTube at Rafiq Jordan. It'll say Rafiq Jordan / faith and filmmaking, which is kind of what I'm all about. My channel is dedicated to making faith content for creative thinkers. And so we're kind of on the early stages, but we're growing rapidly. And I'm really excited to invite you guys to this journey. We're on our way. Right now, I'm doing a content series called Devotional Mondays, where every Monday I break down a family-friendly film and I point it to Jesus, God's character, and Scripture. We're on our way to 100 films, so definitely follow us on that journey, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. You can find me on Instagram at Rafiq.Jordan. That is RAFIQ.Jordan. You can find my film at letthechurch.com. If you go there should be a watch page that you can click and you can watch my documentary. It's also available on Amazon Prime and Tubi. And as of right now, I mean, that's what I'm working on. Like this YouTube channel is trying to build this and continue to play around this idea of faith content for creative thinkers. And there's just so many ideas that I have and so much that I want to create to give people who are kind of like myself, who love media, who love film, who love to look at things in kind of like deep ways, to kind of have a place where they can express themselves and be entertained and educated, but also still being point to Scripture every time.
Yeah, man. No, keep up the good work. Thanks for all the cool creative stuff that you're putting out in the world. Keep it up. And with that is this episode of the Parable Arrows video podcast with Rafiq Nibali. Thanks for his time. Go check him out, and we will see you on the next episode.